Welcome to the MSP Corner podcast. Before we kick off our show, we would like to share what our main objective is at the MSP Corner. Our main goal is to help CEOs build profitable and self-sustainable IT service firms. We are not just providing tools for IT firms, we will be sitting in meetings with you to ensure your IT firm stays on track. The first area we are focused on, strategic sales. IT firms are stuck selling technology or IT support. We will provide you with the blueprint so you position your firm as an added value to your prospects. We will have framework on how to sell value so you influence the prospect into selecting your firm. The second area we see many IT firms struggle in is marketing. 90+% of businesses rely on antiquated marketing methods. The most popular choice, word of mouth. We have proven methods on how to attract the ideal prospect. Our framework will include how to become the online authority and be the business influencer for an industry. The third component to our package, scaling. IT firms walk away from opportunities because they lack the bandwidth or skill set to scale. We have lined up reputable businesses so our members can hire on-demand resources that will allow them to scale their business. The fourth area we will offer help in, selecting the right tools. In order to deliver value, you need the right tech stack. Our platform will offer information on products that are the ideal choice for MSPs. The fifth area we will offer help in is with documentation. Templates are a critical component when building an MSP. We will have contracts, proposals, SOWs, collateral, and much more in the template section. You will have every document you need to start up your managed IT service business. Thank you for tuning in. Let's go to our next podcast. Hello, everyone. Thank you for tuning into our podcast. I am your host, Fernando Leon, and I am joined by my co-host, Gregory Moravietz. And today's topic, we're going to give you some inside view on the MSP Corner and the value they offer the IT firm industry. So let's kick this show off. Now, let's quickly go over the table of contents. And we're going to first talk about why did we create the MSP Corner? The platform consists of four critical components: sales and marketing, tech stack, resources, documentation. So let's get into it. And why did we create the MSP Corner? Well, for the past, single point of contact is officially, technically a managed security service provider. We have been around for over 2 decades. So Gregory and I have been in the IT industry for over 30 years. You know, we've worked for the big boys, we've worked for startups, we've worked for a lot of, firms in the technology sector. But we came together to develop single point of contact, and voila, we launched in 99, and we haven't looked back. And single point of contact has been phenomenal, working with small businesses and large organizations such as Google, large real estate developers such as Shorenstein Realty Services, one of the largest tomato paste creators in the world was Kagome. They have been our clients. Now, by gathering all this information or experience, we've learned a lot over the years. But what we also learned was that IT firms, small IT firms, needed help, right? So I'd say, over 10 years ago, we developed a white label platform, not a product, but a service that allows us to answer the phone as IT firms, as their organization. We respond to emails with their domain. We set everything up so they can deliver a scalable model. But I'm not here to talk about single point of contact. I'm here to talk about the MSP Corner platform and why did we create the MSP Corner? Well, during this journey for the past 10 years, we discovered that IT firms don't grow as fast as they should. We have a big problem at single point of contact. We have 30, 40 CEOs contact us each month because we've done such a phenomenal job with our marketing strategy. And one thing that small IT firms we discovered was they can't scale, obviously, but they don't know how to sell. They don't know how to market themselves. They're lacking documentation. And Gregory and I came together and determined, you know what? If we develop the MSP Corner, it'll provide a platform for IT firms to either get access to resources, get access to documentation, get framework on how to market themselves, and easy and comprehensive ways so you guys can build marketing strategies, implement marketing strategies, learn how to sell value, and to make it affordable. Because, yeah, there's resources out there, there's other competitors that do the same thing, but they are charging way too much. So we want to make this not only affordable, but we also want to provide the value you guys deserve. You guys make the world go round. We're the only reason IT firms make this possible for IT for companies to operate. You can have all the sexy hardware, all the sexy cloud services in place, but if it's not configured correctly, if you don't have a proactive plan in place, it's going to have problems. They're going to have issues. So IT firms are are the catalyst to a company's success. So one of the reasons and that's one of the main reasons why we created the MSP Corner is to help IT firms grow, learn how to sell value, teach these guys. A lot of you CEOs who are starting IT firms, you guys operate like techies still. You guys are still getting your hands dirty. You're not thinking about building a sustainable business. You're not thinking about implementing strategies so you guys are consistently growing. You're consistently getting in front of your audience. And how do you do that? Because it takes a lot of planning. It takes a lot of of brainstorming, whiteboarding your value proposition, who your target audience is, and then where does this target audience reside. So there's a lot that goes into a marketing strategy. So just keep listening because we're going to touch on all of those topics. So let's dive into the platform we're developing. It is going to be a subscription based model with tiers, right? There's going to be a free tier, obviously, that will get you access to, podcasts and webinars, and some we'll open up some. We have a show called The Expert Corner, and right now anybody can join on that call. Anybody can come in there and ask for advice, but once the subscription model starts to build up, that show is going to be closed off and it's going to be only for members. And then it's going to be for, it's going to create we want to create an environment where we all come together to help each other out. I mean, Gregory and I have been doing this a long time. We don't know everything, but we do know a lot. We do know how to problem solve, and what it takes. What more important is what works with marketing and what doesn't work. So we'll be talking about things like that, and we'll give you our advice, and you'll be able to take it, or you don't have to take it. Take it. So, but packages, and then these packages or these tiers that you can subscribe for will give IT firm access to expertise, right? So if you want a marketing executive to be part of your organization, we'll have somebody assigned to your firm so they keep you on track with your marketing strategy. if you need a sales process, if you need to implement an email marketing campaign, or you need Gregory's advice with, a tech stack. Which what where do you need, what policies do you need to have in place for operations, for HIPAA compliance, CMMC compliance? So there's going to be a lot of information available to you, and this information is constantly changing. So it would behoove you to keep your subscription so you stay on track with the latest and greatest. Because as you know, technology is always changing. So let's dive into the next topic, which is sales. How to sell value, not tech services. And that's what I mean by implementing a sales strategy. If you're going to be targeting a specific audience, let's say the medical industry, or let's say a public company. Public companies are large animals to get in front of, but keywords that they want to hear is Sarbanes-Oxley, because they got to stay compliant, right? So what do you know? What questions are you going to ask when you're talking to somebody about Sarbanes-Oxley? HIPAA compliance, right? Or SOC 2 compliance. So each industry has a specific strategy, or what we like to call a sales process. And this whole time, you're going to be selling value. And what I mean by selling value and not tech services is you're always going to be positioning your organization as a firm that solves problems, prevents problems, is proactive, is reducing IT costs, is increasing productivity. And nowhere did I say help desk services, IT services, or SOC services, or anything along the lines of information technology services. We are always selling value. But how do you do that? It takes a very unique approach to position your organization so you influence the prospect, right? During a sales process, I've created a line of questions that influences the the prospect into agreeing with you that you are the ideal solution to their problems. And we're going to come up with, and I think this is going to be more of like an ongoing collaboration with how do you deal with objections, right? Because we all get rejected, we all get no's, we don't all get yeses. But how do you deal with objections? And how do you upsell? How do you cross sell? When do you follow up? Do you send a proposal or do you send a contract? So when are you closing? So there's lots of questions when it comes around sales. And I like to think of myself, I've been doing this for 25 years, and I like to think that I can sell because I've been doing this for so long. And I think if I sucked, I think I would have been fired a long time ago, or I would have been so discouraged that I stunk that I just needed to get out, just make a career change. But I've been very successful when it comes to selling. But it's a very unique approach, and it's something that it can be taught. But I want you guys to learn how to deliver this in a more natural way. I don't want you guys to sound robotic, or you have this just a monotone approach. You got to sell it. When you're selling, you got to sound excited. You got to sound happy, because if you sound or look depressed, who's going to want to buy from you? They're going to think, why am I going to do business with a company that's their employees are unhappy? Right? So you got to always think. I don't want you to go in there like you just snorted a line of cocaine, because that's going to make people think that you're just a little too crazy. So you want to have a very balanced approach. You want to sound positive, you want to sound happy, but not like you're going to jump out of your skin happy. Okay. So just think of that medium that you need to reach. Because when you're selling, you're not only selling your solution, you're selling yourself. So you got to sound credible. You got to sound trustworthy. They got to see integrity coming out of your ears, right? Because we're in the trust business, guys, right? I'm not handing you an iPhone with, Tim Cook behind me because they stand behind their product and they have a multi-billion-dollar organization that's going to stand behind that product. But you're representing yourself, and you're representing an organization they've never heard of. So you have to sound not only credible but trustworthy. And during this, and that's going to be part of our platform, right? Is you're going to be able to have these conversations with us because they're important. You can't just expect, oh, a prospect called me, they requested a proposal, and you think that's the end. That is not the end, right? Because if somebody calls you and says, hey, I need you to send me a quote. Well, before I send you a quote, Mr. Prospect, I do need to sit down with you and have a conversation about why we're talking. Why are you unhappy? If you're happy, why are we talking? So you must be unhappy about something. So you have to drill down and find out. It's like you're investigating. You're investigating. You're like a detective now. It's like, why are you unhappy? What's going on? Oh, your MSP doesn't get back to you? Why not? How long has this been going on? When do you need support? Do you need after hour support also? Right? So you got to ask, you got to be organized. And that's why a sales process will keep you on track. And that's what will help you close more business. Not all business. Don't ever think that you're going to close 100%. I'm not here to tell you, oh, follow my sales process and you're going to get 100% close rate. No, that's impossible. Nobody could do that. So keep that in mind, that you need a sales process. All right, the next topic is something that I could talk about forever because marketing is just it's a huge animal to take on. Marketing is just not a website you put up or a flyer you put on a car. Marketing is has changed. Google has changed the landscape of how organizations market themselves. They have leveled the playing field because my organization, Single Point of Contact, ranks organically better than billion-dollar organizations that are in the same industry. Why? Why is that? Because we pour a ton of energy into producing content that solves problems for our audience. So, but marketing is a long topic to discuss, and that's again going to be conversations we can have in our groups or one-on-one, depending on which tier you sign up for. But one of the first things that you guys should always consider, and this is the first thing you should always look at, is your LinkedIn profile. What does it say about you? Because people are going to look you up. They're going to see where you've been, what certificates you have, how long you've been at this firm, what your experience is, and what your headline says. Because if you're the CEO of an IT service firm and your title says CEO, it doesn't tell me anything about what you're going to do to solve problems for me. LinkedIn gives you an opportunity, a free opportunity to advertise what you have to offer small businesses. Right? My tag would be along the lines of we help small businesses reduce security breaches, and we also reduce IT costs by over 50%. Right? Something along the lines that sells value, that that will pique interest. The next digital footprint you need to think about is your website. What does your website say about you? Does it provide the messaging your audience wants to see? IT service for small businesses does not tell me anything, right? Again, gives you an opportunity to sell value, pitch value. And then when you hook them, when you that's what we call the headline, right? On your website, you're going to have a headline just like a newspaper, right? That's why the headline on a newspaper was always so provocative. It was so engaging. People would want to pick up a newspaper. And some of you are probably too young to even know what a newspaper is. But back in the day, you would buy a newspaper instead of opening an application on your phone to read the latest and greatest news. But when you have your website and it has a headline that can hook your audience or your prospect, you have to be ready to tell them a story as to why they should continue reading, right? Because you're going to solve their problem. You're not going to solve all of their problems, but you're going to solve problems. And hopefully one of those problems is something they want to read about. And that's how you keep your audience engaged. Now, funnels. Let's talk about funnels real quick, and we'll just touch lightly on them because we're going on 20 minutes here. But funnels, we've set up various funnels because we want to track. We want to be able to measure where we succeed. So we set up SEO, PPC, email, social media, and soon to come YouTube. Right. So YouTube, all of these funnels allow your audience or your ideal prospect client to find you, right? So if you're going to focus on SEO, well, then you got to follow SEO best practices and what is going to help you climb that SEO ladder. So, and then PPC has its best practices, email has its best practices, social media has its best practices. So and YouTube has its best practices, but you want to create a digital footprint so that it tells Google you are the expert in your area, in your area of your industry, right? Because you want to be able to create content that is solving problems. Now, I'm going to jump to the tech stack. Um, what it means, because one of the topics or one of the areas that we have on the platform will be tech stack. It's an area that's going to have a large list of vendors who are going to provide specific tools for MSPs or IT service firms. And I'm going to allow Gregory to, Gregory can talk about, because this is his area of expertise and how he envisions, he's responsible for the tech stack and area and how it's all going to play out and what you guys should expect to see in the tech stack area. So Gregory, I'm going to hand it off to you for a few minutes here.
Yeah, so your tech stack is just your set of applications that you kind of resell. The whole purpose of a managed security service or a managed service provider is that we sell recurring monthly subscriptions. One of them could be help desk, which is performed by a person. Another one could be EDR, endpoint detection and response, which is performed by a software application. That software application, you don't buy it once, you buy like the rights to use it for a certain amount of time, and then when that time is ended, you lose the rights to that particular service and it should no longer function. Now you got to be careful when you get into your tech stack, because a lot of the vendors that you're going to deal with are going to want you to sign a couple things away. They're going to automatically set it so that it auto renews. So what will happen is that at the end of the year, if you bought 100 licenses, it'll auto renew at 100 licenses. But you might have throughout the year reduce the amount of ticket, reduce the amount of clients you had by a significant amount or not significant amount. It might just be at 80. But if you auto renew at 100, you're gonna have to pay for those 20 extra licenses again month after month. That's the second thing they do to you, is that they lock you in. Every time you burn a license or you use a license, they increment it against you, so that if you have one day, if you have 30 customers and the next day you have 31, and you increment that up by one, their licensing scheme doesn't let you go backwards. Say you made a mistake and you just pressed one extra by accident. A lot of these vendors will not allow you to go backwards. They won't let you go back to 30, even if it was a mistake. Their contracts are set in stone, so that they don't really even care if you say, I won't use you guys anymore. They'll just go, well, we don't care. So you have to be really careful about the contracts you're using, how many licenses you're burning, and then your auto renew. And you also don't want to sign up for 3 years at a certain level, because who knows what's going to happen. The future is way too crazy. So say you have a customer and they burn 100 licenses, and you buy them all and you're sitting there on top of 100 licenses, but then the next customer you get says, no, I don't like that EDR product, can we use this other one? And you engage with that other EDR product, and now you have 100 of those licenses, and your original customer, you lose them. And you can lose customers for a variety of reasons, not because you do a bad job, but maybe they get bought out by another firm, and so they say, look, our contract is going to have to be removed because this other company bought us out. You could go after them and say, well, you signed a contract for a year, 2, 3 years, you have to pay out of your contract. But you'll find that if you want to get litigious and you want to do stuff like that, it's going to cost you way more money than it's going to cost you just to drop it. But then you could be left with the fact that you are stuck with those licenses. So the moral of the story on the beginning of the tech stack is, be very careful what deals you make. It's not just something like an end user agreement where you just sign it and you're fine. You should look at it really well. And
Yep.
some of the fine print on some of these contracts have really gotten back and bit me. Like systems, the vendor doesn't think that help desk workstations are the same as servers. They may have a different charge sheet for servers that they don't share with you, and then they'll just reveal to you later, oh yeah, we charge servers separately and differently. And again, if you're sitting there and you want to just back out of the contract, you'll find that it doesn't, not a lot of the times it won't work that way. So that's all there. The next thing you want to do is picking applications. You want to understand how to pick applications, and you need to pick the right applications. You need to pick the applications that are going to be multi-tenant, that customers can log into and be viewers of, that are enterprise, which is important for a variety of reasons. But you'll also find out that enterprise contracts and enterprise agreements are going to be the worst that there possibly are. So you have to take that into consideration. So like I said in the beginning, if you're going to look at your contract, you'll see that the enterprise agreements are far worse than the agreements maybe between individuals, maybe between small and medium-sized corporations. Those agreements are going to be a lot more flexible than the enterprise agreements. Those are going to be tough. But you do want to get those enterprise products because they're so flexible, they're so easy to configure, they have single panes of glass, they're multi-tenant, they're they have a lot of different functionality that you want. There's also the fact that if you want to white label some of these products, like you want to sell somebody a ticketing system and have it be like ABC MSP ticketing system, you can do that, and there's benefits to that. You can get more brand recognition. People recognize the ticketing system as being legitimate if it has your logo on it, etc. So there's all that. Now, picking things for your tech stack is very interesting question. It's going to be different for every different organization. It's going to be different for every different vertical. It's going to be different for sizes of companies. So you're going to want to make really good decisions by collaborating with somebody like me or Fernando or one of our other advisors in the MSP Corner, If you ask us, we'll tell you the pros and cons, the what we've seen in the past. Should I pick should I pick free AVG to be my endpoint detection and response product? We're going to tell you exactly the reasons why or why not to do that. Maybe in some bizarro world, free AVG is going to be good for you. If you give me enough reasons why it would be good, I might say, okay, well, you could do that. But I wouldn't. But even then, you're just saying, look, this is what we're gonna do. And there you go.
Well, it's you brought up some very interesting topics because so who is I go on Reddit and I see a lot of hate, a lot of shade. It's shade now being thrown to like the Connect Wises of the world and the Ninja RMM, right? So they're saying like, oh, we're in this contract and now I'm locked in and they can't get out. I mean, is it that? So if I understood you correctly, if I said, hey, ConnectWise, I'm going to buy 100 licenses every month, and then that client fires you, you're saying they won't let you out of it?
That's right.
Ooh, oh my God. You're kidding me.
No,
That is painful.
it is.
That is painful. You can't even scale back on the amount of licenses.
You cannot.
Can you? Is
And they
there?
may auto renew them on you and not let you back out of the ones you just didn't even realize you had.
Oh my. Oh my. Let me ask you this. Let me ask you this. What if, well, is there like a tier type of model? Like, oh, this RMM tool doesn't have as many features, or but this one does. And then do any of their packages provide that flexibility where you're like, well, I'm going to buy the more expensive RMM tool, and that one does allow me to scale up and down.
It
But
again, if it's an enterprise product, most likely not.
wow,
If
wow.
it's an easier product, then yes.
Are all RMM companies like that?
No, they're not. Some are more forgiving than others.
Like who is more forgiving?
Um, smaller startup ones
Okay.
are.
Okay.
I don't know off the top of my head which ones are exactly more forgiving than others,
Okay. Okay.
but
Interesting.
there are ones out there that are going to be more flexible with you and say, okay,
Interesting. Interesting. That just adds more fuel to why IT firms need to continue growing. But some IT firms might be, well, you can't deliver the proactive model without the RMM tool, or am I incorrect?
it's hard. It would be harder to do. You could, but like when you get free products,
Yeah.
when you get freeware type products, if there's a free RMM out there, they're going to be and if they're starting out, they're going to be way more flexible with you than like ConnectWise is just going to be draconian.
Yeah.
And if you say, I'm not going to do business with you guys if you don't reverse these 4 licenses that I don't use anymore, they're just going to send you on your way. They're going to slap you on your back and say good luck out there in the cold, and you're going to be like, oh man. And then you're going to be burning those 4 licenses. It could be up to $75 per license per month. You could be burning up to like $350 a month just because you didn't pay attention to who
Whoa.
was provisioning what, if there was auto renewing, all these different things. So
Wow.
it can get brutal. We have a partner who overbought and they signed up for 3 years. And then
Oh,
when their MSP side of their business wasn't doing as well, they lost 1 or 2 customers. What happened is they, reduced the count of their licenses and they went to the vendors, 7 or 8 of them, and said, "Hey, I want to reduce the count of my licenses." And the vendors all said the same thing: "Pound sand, my friend, pound the sand."
damn. Wow. That's so crazy. It's so
It
unfair,
is.
though. It's so unfair. I don't like that.
It
I
is.
do not like that. I
Well,
think,
go look at your phone. Your phone treats you the same way. I bet you if you had a year-long commitment with Verizon or AT&T, or if you went to Comcast or Xfinity, and you were like, "Well, I just don't. I'm moving, and I don't need your services anymore." They're going to be like, "Well, you signed up for a year-long contract. Here's the end. Here's your buyout price."
Yeah. Yeah.
And you're like,
Do
"What?
these
What do you mean buyout price? I no longer need this service."
well, AT&T doesn't do that anymore. Verizon, you're right. If you're making payments on your phone, they won't let you out of your contract. But if your phone is paid off, you can cancel anytime.
If the contract you're in lets you, you might be in a business contract. If you're in
Oh,
an individual
yeah,
contract, if you're in an individual contract, then you can. If you're in a business contract, you might not be able to. You just have to be really careful about what you're signing up for. And if you pick your tech stack and you're like, I'm going with WebRoot, I'm going with WebRoot, and you pick your tech stack and you're like, oh yeah, 60, 150 licenses, WebRoot's not going to let you out of it. If you find out you want to use CrowdStrike, or you want to use Sentinel One, or one of your customers says I need to switch over to Sentinel One, then you're screwed, right? You're stuck with those fees.
interesting.
And I'll tell you how a lot of people get around that. Do you want to take a guess?
They just close down their business, I would assume.
No, no.
Hmm. Oh, oh.
You know the answer. You love to do it.
I do. I don't know the answer. Tell me, what is
Yes,
the
you do.
answer?
The answer is to overcharge. To overcharge to compensate for anything that could possibly go wrong. So
Oh,
if you're paying $2 for WebRoot a month, you charge 14, $15 for it, right?
yeah,
So
yeah,
yeah, $2, $14. I'm making $12 profit off of it. Wow, that's like 700% return.
yeah,
But
yeah,
if you want to stay competitive and you charge $3, when you start taking $2 hits per licenses, you start like, and there's 50 or 60 of them. Those are going to burn all of the good, all the other profits you've made. So a lot of people will just overcharge for their products and just say, "Hey, it is what it is. I take the risk that you're going to leave me after 6 months. You have to pay more for the risk I'm taking."
yeah, yeah. You're right. I do like to overcharge. I am a rotten. I'm a rotten person.
Well, and if you look at from a business person's perspective, it's
Yeah,
not overcharging. It's building up like insurance for yourself.
sure. And I
If you're
think,
looking, yeah, and if you're
yeah,
looking at it from a customer's perspective, it's like, I'm you're overcharging me. And the business person is like, well, not really. If you leave me, I'm stuck with those licenses. If you get bought out in 6 months, I'm kind of screwed. And if that's not fair to me. So I'm going to
yeah,
charge you a little bit more per license to cover for the risk that I'm taking.
yeah,
So you're not really overcharging. You're insuring yourself that you can survive the fact that they may leave you. So imagine it on a giant scale, right? If you had a 5,000 seat customer and you were paying $3 per seat, and that was $15,000 a month, and they said, well, we're going to do a reduction in force by half. Our business went into the pooper, and now we're going to go, we need you to charge us for half as many licenses. You have to sit there and go, can I say to this customer, no problem, we're partners, I'm going to weather this storm with you? You can if you overcharged them, or you weren't competitive. I guess we'll say, I like that term better now. If you weren't competitive on the price and you charged them a significant amount more, you might be able to say, look, can't, we can do it. We're going to survive this together. But if you're so close to your margins, you are then forced to go to your customer and say, I charged you like 10 points, 10% over cost for me. So losing those 7,500 seats, that's 75, that's $7,500 or whatever. I
yeah,
can't handle it, because then I'll not only make no money, I'll lose money, and that would be horrible for me. So I have to force you to continue paying for 15,000, 5,000 seats at $3 each. Sorry, it's just the way way I'm being treated is the way I treat you.
Yeah, nobody wins. Everybody's unhappy. People are pissed. I get it. I get it. Well, it's something. Well, I learned something today because I had no idea. I've read the posts. I didn't know it was this bad though. Had no idea. So that's enlightening. So thanks for sharing that.
Well, everyone's moving to the model of a leased car. You can't just return your car. You leased it for a year. You can't return it after 9 months and say, I'm done.
Yeah, yeah,
But I'll tell you this, if my car company took it back after 9 months and said, no, don't worry about it, we'll take care of it, we got you covered, we're your friend, we're your partner, we're in bed together, I would
hmm,
always consider them the best company on earth.
sure,
It's like the
sure,
Nordstrom. It's like the Nordstrom philosophy. Somebody brought tires into Nordstrom, said, "I need to return these tires."
yeah,
The checker. This is a famous story from them. The checkout girl said, "No problem." Took the tires, gave them the refund of whatever the tires were worth, and that was the end of that. And that's why people shopped at Nordstrom for the longest time, because their customer service was higher than everyone else around them, and that's why they rose to the top.
yeah, yeah. No, 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 I love Nordstrom's, as does my wife.
Well,
But yeah,
you have to take into account your relationship with the customer. Now,
yeah,
if you set yourself up to succeed by overcharging or modifying the price to be not so competitive, but in a way that will cover you in the event of a disaster, that's understandable. But you may not get the contract because you're more expensive. And
yeah,
so the people who are taking the risk, they're taking a terrible risk by,
yeah,
by saying, on a small scale, like 5 or 6 licenses, no big deal. When you start getting into the hundreds and then the thousands of licenses, $3 or $4 of a month, on 100 to 500 licenses, that starts to hurt. You can hurt your bottom line if you're not careful.
yeah. No, no, no. I agree. I agree. No, it's definitely I see I read the pain. I hear about it. I've gotten firsthand, exposure to, what these guys are going through. So I get it. I get it. It's not fun, and people get pissed because you're messing with their livelihood. But just like I just said, this gives more reason why CEOs of IT firms need to continue attracting prospects. Yeah, you're going to need to buy more licenses, but you know what's going to protect you is a contract with an early termination fee, because you have a commitment you're making to that RMM company. And that's going to be one of the reasons you're going to ask them to make a commitment, because you're saying, look, I'm committing to this organization that I'm going to buy these licenses to support your organization. I go, I'm going to be on the hook for a year. I need you to be on the hook for a year. If you do not stay on the hook for a year, I'm going to charge you an early termination fee. Bottom line. Is that fair, Greg?
Well, I'll tell you about an early termination fee. Okay, so you're not the best businessman. You're not a great businessman. You aren't doing really good at business, and then you make a terrible mistake, because you're not good. And so
Yeah.
therefore you put yourself into a bad position, and say your company needs to go in a different direction or stop using the support organization you're using because your CFO came to you and says, we need to cut $20,000.
Yep. Yep.
I don't care where you cut it from. You fire your nephew, you get rid of your wife, you fire her, and then your IT firm comes up and you're like, $3,500 a month. I got to get rid of this. I'll just have my cousin Fred do the IT for a while till I get back on my feet.
Yep.
And then you tell the IT firm, I'm not going to use you guys anymore. Sorry, my business is doing poorly. I can't sustain my current budget. And since you're not a very good person, you tell them you're not going to pay them, and then they go, "Wow, I got this early termination fee."
Yep.
on my contract, and they're going to just say, "Good for you."
Yep. Yep.
I hope you enjoy that. Now, if you're a great business person and you're scrupulous and you have honor and integrity, and you've outgrown the IT company, or you're just not happy with it, and you look and see that you have an early termination fee and there's 3 months left on your contract, you will pay it and
Yep.
not have another problem, right? You'll just
Yep.
go, okay, 3 months of service, 9 grand. It's not really your money because you don't own the company, right? That's another problem. And so you're like, yeah, we'll pay the early termination fee, and your legal department says you should do it. The CFO says, yeah, that works. We should do that. If we sign the contract, we should honor it. But if you're a individual small business, or a small business with like a limited amount of team members, you can just blow it off and say, "Oh, I don't care, whatever." I mean, honestly, you can't really sue somebody who is, either of those companies, the ones that scrupulous that will pay you, or the unscrupulous ones that aren't going to pay you. You cannot sue them. I mean, lawsuits are the most frivolous and dumb thing to waste your time on. Unless it's even if it's in the hundreds of thousands of dollars, you got to protect yourself in other ways that aren't going to put you in a position where you could lose 100 grand.
Yep.
And we could talk about that in a whole nother call, but yeah, I would having an early termination clause is great for the honorable customer, but
Yep.
it's not going to help you with the dishonorable ones.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I agree. I agree. And they're out there. They
Oh yeah, we meet them all the time.
we won't use any names, but yes, they're out there.
We
And
should
they're
we
not
should use names to shame people.
I don't want to do that. It's not nice. But I get it. I get it. I know they're but anyways. Well, let's jump on to the next topic that I think it's going to hopefully get people excited and talking about the MSP corner, because I don't think this topic is really is I think this is going to be, I'm hoping this will be one of the more popular components on the MSP corner, is the resource tab, right? Because we want to have hundreds of webinars on organizations that can help IT firms. So let's just pick a few, like firms that can help you scale, right? If you need an after hours support team, or you need an on-site resource, or you have a client that is expanding to the Miami area, and you're like, hey, you know what? I need to partner with an IT team, or I need a resource that can help me find a reputable firm to team up with to deliver on-site services. Or the after hours is a great example, because these organizations cannot walk away from money. You don't leave money on the table because you don't have the expertise, the bandwidth, or the skill set. I guess would fall under experience. But if you need resources, we're going to have them on there. And another one is going to be lead generation, or what we like to call marketing. If you We're not a marketing MSP Corner is not a marketing firm. We're not a sales firm. We're not sales coaches. We are a platform that links you with these type of resources, right? And like, there'll be sales coaches on here. We don't sell anything on the MSP Corner platform unless you're buying a tiered package to access expertise like Gregory and I. We would be like your mentors. If you want to access framework, like how to build a marketing strategy, we will provide you that type of framework, so you keep your marketing, whoever you hire to do your SEO or PPC or cold calling or email marketing or social media platform, we'll have we'll have guidelines, so you guys are educated, so these firms don't pull one over on you. We want to have, obviously, we're vetting these resources. We want people that are reputable, that work with IT firms, that have a successful track record. And who doesn't want leads? Who doesn't want to sell better? right? And who doesn't want to scale? I know all of you, maybe there's some of you that are just fine, are just happy with 10 clients. You're like, I don't want to stress. But there's some of you that are very ambitious that say, hey, you know what? I want to own the market. I want to scale, but I don't want all the overhead. I want to deliver a SOC solution, but I don't want to be managing all of these forensic experts and learn everything there is to implement SIM. I mean, it's a beast. Market building a SOC is just massive. It's a massive undertaking, but we want to have resources that are going to help IT firms, right? They're going to either help them with their marketing struggles, or if you want a coach that's going to provide you with that guidance you need to learn how to sell value, not tech services, they will be on there. Okay. Now, the last component on the MSP corner is documentation. And we've been doing this for over a decade, working directly with IT firms, and I have never been impressed with anyone's documentation. So, what documentation do you need? Well, first off, is collateral, right? You need collateral that provides your prospect with a comprehensive overview of what you offer, the value proposition, and a clear overview as to how or what you do to solve their problems, right? Next on the list is statements of work, SOWs, a professional SOW, right? You just don't want an SOW that says, here are the deliverables. There's so many safeguards that go into an SOW, like the client's responsibility. And you need to have disclaimers in there in the event that you can't finish the project, right? Because the client might come to you and say, hey, we have a hard deadline and we need you to finish this project by midnight on February 13th. That would be in 6 hours for us. Now, if Gregory and I are out there building servers and then we're like, oh, wow, we only have one server to go, we'll be done within 6 hours easily, right? Well, if power goes out to that building, you are SOL. You are not going to meet the deadline. You are going to be sitting there twiddling your thumbs, wondering when the power is going to come on. So you could possibly miss your deadline. So there's got to be disclaimers in there that protect you. Your SOWs need language in there to protect you. What the client needs to provide you if you're providing that, providing a specific implementation plan. Proposals. I've seen too many proposals and they are just awful. They're just awful. And you can't appear like you're a one-man show or a two-man show or a five-man show. You got to appear that you are a huge corporation with processes, right? And then a comprehensive overview on how you implement the MSP model or a SOC model. And then you need to detail out the deliverables, right? On proposals. What are you going to deliver? And then what is that fixed monthly cost? A lot of you are stuck on this. Oh my God, I can't do unlimited support at a fixed cost. You know, there's contracts out there that we have that protect you from that type of expectation with the client, right? Because the MSP model is a fixed cost. There's no hourly rates. I'm sorry to tell you, unless you include a scheduled on-site visit. That's when we provide clients with a hourly rate. They just say, hey, we want somebody on site once a month. Okay, we're going to charge you X amount per hour for 8 hours for that visit. And if they work overtime, it's going to be this much, right? So you can include that type of language in your contracts. But contracts need to protect you with early termination fees. You also need to explain to them that, hey, in order for me to deliver this proactive model, I have to sign up for licenses for a whole year. That means I need you to sign up for an entire year. I also need you to understand that unlimited support does not include projects, right? Projects are completely off the books. Those are one-offs, right? So clients cannot have this expectation that, oh, this includes server bills and computer bills and onboarding and system upgrades, major upgrades, right? And implementing new technology. No, 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 those are projects, and your contracts will protect you. So documentation is going to be a critical component on the MSP Corner platform because you guys need these contracts. You need professional proposals. You need professional looking a collateral, and you need professional statements of work. So, but we're going to have a webinar on these documentations, and we'll just put them all on display so you guys can see what we're talking about. But that's pretty much it. Greg, is there anything else you want to touch on? Because I'm getting ready to wrap this puppy up.
No, it's good.
All right. All right, guys. Thanks for listening. And don't forget to sign up to be a member on the MSPcorner.com. Please share our link with the CEO or a business owner who will find our information beneficial to their business. All right, guys. Have a good night. We'll see you soon. Thank you for listening, and don't forget to sign up to be a member on www.mspcorner.com. Please share our link with a CEO who will find our information beneficial to their business. Have an awesome day.